Hey, what's going on, guys? Matt here with 49ers Hive. I am joined today by Dion. Unfortunately, Zach can't join us. We are going to be reacting to that absolutely crushing loss to the Green Bay Packers, 30-28. Dion, what do you got? Just jump right into it, man.
The number one thing I have is 25 of 40 for 257 yards, 6.4 yards a catch, two TDs, one interception, and four sacks.
Yeah,
You guys see me wearing the jersey? It's time. This can't keep happening. Like we can't keep going down to the wire. We can't keep waiting and waiting and seeing if it's going to be right. We can't continue to watch him airmail passes. Like at some point, Kyle's got to understand I've got a young rookie. I might as well just go ahead and get him the snaps. They said it in our chat. I'd rather see us go, 9-8 with Trey starting than to watch us flounder the season with Jimmy going. This is not going to work.
I agree with you, man. And here's the problem. Jimmy's supposed to have all this experience. He's supposed to be the guy that's just like, you know, Jimmy's supposed to be the steady hand, right? But how many plays out there did he just absolutely panic and look absolutely? I mean, he overthrew Debo on a screen pass that went out of bounds. He had that backwards pass that he was sure, oh, that wasn't a fumble. And it's like, dude, you threw it backwards. How many times are we going to see Jimmy panic? And cool, good on you for keeping the team in the game. And you made some plays. A lot of that was honestly yak yardage from the guys, just getting them in space. I don't see what Jimmy's doing that Trey can't do. So I agree with you. It's time. If they're not careful, it's going to be too late.
The other thing that I saw that was really confusing to me was for almost three quarters, why was Juice starting running back?
Yeah, I don't think. I think that Sermon was in the doghouse, and then, but again, that's a Kyle thing, and that's an entirely different issue. I don't know what that was about because once they started actually giving Sermon the ball, Sermon did well running the ball, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it 10 carries, 31 yards, 3.1 yards per carry, and a touchdown. His longest run was 16 yards. The main issue is that I honestly didn't expect Green Bay's defense to come in here and play like they did. I expected our offensive line to be able to handle them, minus Zadarius Smith. So now that tells me if Zadarius Smith was in the game, we would have had way more trouble than we already had. And instead of
Yeah.
four sacks, we might have taken five or six. And the other thing is I don't care if someone's in the doghouse. Like there's moments where the coach has to put his ego aside and just realize what you've got to do to win the game. We ran the ball down their throats in previous years, and that's how we won the game. You have Trey Sermon. You have Trenton Cannon, who had a fantastic kickoff return, by the way.
Yep.
Um, Elijah Mitchell didn't dress, but I mean, you've got Kerryon Johnson just sitting there. Like, why not mix it up? Hey, all right, I'm gonna throw Trey at you one down. I'm gonna throw Kerryon at you the next. Then I'm gonna just throw Trenton in there just for shits and giggles. Like, you figure ways to incorporate these guys into the offense to be able to make your offense move. And you can't solely predicate everything on Yak. You
Yeah.
cannot.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Early on in the game, they had Juszczyk out there. They weren't really running the ball. I mean, the first half they were pathetic running the ball, and yet Kyle's still out there drawing up play action passes. And it's like, Kyle, that's not going to work. They don't care about the run. It's no wonder that in the second half, when Kyle actually tried to run the ball a little bit, that it opened things up in the intermediate area of the field, and you were able to get players open in space. Kyle has this stubborn streak in him where if somebody pisses him off, he just goes completely away from that. And sometimes I think it's to the detriment of the game plan. And you're right. He's absolutely stubborn. I remember when they came back from the break, Michelle Tafoya had talked about interviewing him because Trey Lance had that play, run it in for the touchdown or whatever, which, by the way, Trent Williams just schoolyard bullied that cornerback. I mean, he threw his ass to
Yeah,
the back of the end zone.
you
That,
gotta
that
love
was
Trent. You
that was
gotta love.
spectacular. It was so good. But she asked him, "Hey, are we going to see more of Trey Lance? That looked like it worked." And he was like, well, that's not the plan. That was a good spot for him to come into the game, but there's no plan to, unless it's the right situation." It's just like, why are you being so stubborn about this? Because later on, down in the goal line, and I know it didn't turn out anything other than the defensive hold against Kittle. But on that bootleg that Lance got outside, it wasn't a great throw. But the fact that he was out there kept the defense honest and allowed them more layered opportunities to potentially get a score. And that's something you're not going to get from Jimmy Garoppolo. At this point, we're going to be treading water if we keep doing this, because we're not going to be able to score those points consistently. Detroit led this Green Bay team at halftime, and it seemed like our offense struggled to put yards and points on the board. It's not acceptable.
What kills me is we keep backing the defense into a corner. And you cannot expect the defense to continually hold up when they're gassed and they're tired and they're continuously on the field. It's not fair to them. And you got them out there, man, and you're doing every single thing that you can, man. And you stop them and you're like, look, Jimmy, go out there and get us some points. What does he do? Go out there and screw something up. And you throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage on I don't know how many plays. You're not setting those up. These are throws behind the line of scrimmage where you don't have 3 or 4 guys out there ready to block. So this guy can start to turn that into true yak. You're telling that guy, make something out of nothing. This is all we got. And that's not fair to the receiver. Whoever's catching the ball, whether it be Trey Sermon, whether it be Deebo Samuel, whether it be George Kittle, whoever it is, you can't expect them continually to just make something out of nothing, because it doesn't always work out that way. Yak comes from great players, but at the same time, great players still need help in the moment. You can't always expect them to just turn a -5 yard into a 20-yard play. It just doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, those screens that you're talking about, I remember the one particularly to Kittle on second down that essentially was like a 1-yard loss / no gain. But it was like a swing screen where Kittle's coming in motion behind Jimmy Garoppolo and there's no setup. I saw a couple times that they had bunch formation. Why don't you run a wide receiver screen out of bunch formation where you have 2 built-in blockers right there for your receiver? The situations they're calling these screens just doesn't make sense to me. It's leaving yards out on the field. And but again, I'd love to see them push the ball a little more, but we saw what happened when Jimmy uncorked one deep tonight. It just immediately picked off. Didn't see Jair Alexander coming across, over the top and just right into his hands. And, that's something that you want to see with Trey Lance. I brought it up on the previous show with Zach, where Next Gen Stats had Jimmy Garoppolo's spray chart from the first 2 games, and everything past 7 yards is in the middle of the field. There's no work outside the numbers. And there's a reason why, because anything outside the numbers with Jimmy, he just does not have the zip to get it out there. He can't do it. So if this is going to be the case, then, come on, man. How many games are we going to have to lose like this before Kyle finally goes, okay, it's Trey Lance time? Unfortunately, I think it's going to be too many more. It's just going to be too many.
Yeah, due to the stubbornness of Kyle, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I feel like what's going to happen is, instead of him thinking ahead, he's going to just say, you know what, I'm going to ride this out with Jimmy. I'm going to make, like Kyle has this thing where his guys have to look good. Like, he can't say no to them. And my thing is you have to say no to Jimmy because you already called him ahead of time and said, hey, look, I'm going up to get a quarterback because you can't stay healthy. So you said no to him right there in that moment. And then he probably got pissed off, which is understandable. Yeah, he was supposed to be upset. Like, yeah, man, I wouldn't be happy that you're going up to get somebody. But at the end of the day, you're going to get somebody because I can't stay healthy. So you have to understand that. But the issue is Kyle is so busy trying to ride this out with Jimmy and not giving Trey a chance to even come on the field and make plays. Like, at the end, I kid you not, at halftime, I would have looked at Jimmy and told him, you need to sit your ass down. Kyle, Trey's coming in, man. I'm sorry. I can't keep watching this. It's not going to work. Yeah. You're not doing what you need to do. I need you to figure it out as quick as you can. But if you don't, I'm sorry. I got to put the kid in, because at least at the bare minimum, if I'm losing with the kid, it's understandable. I'm losing with you and you're a vet, and this is not working out well for anybody.
Right. And like I said earlier, you see Jimmy out there, on a whole drive, just have a meltdown and then a meltdown and then a meltdown and before the turnover. And it's just, I thought these were the situations we were trying to avoid by going with the 8-year vet. or whatever Jimmy is at this point, and he's still out there panicking like a rookie. I mean, that backwards throw was the same thing that we all roasted Mac Jones for doing in week 1. And Jimmy did it. And Jimmy's a seasoned veteran or whatever. You're right. It's unacceptable. And, you want the defense to hold up, but, how are they supposed to? I mean, at the end of the game, that allowing those passes was definitely on them. Unfortunately.
Yeah, you can't allow Devontae Adams to actually wind up in that situation where he's wide open. Honestly, that right there is just that's unacceptable, completely strictly based on the fact that Devontae, they're going to him. Right. That. There's one of two things. I'm going to Devontae Adams, or I'm trying to hit Valdez-Scantling over the top. I'm trying either one of those dudes because I know they're going to be the guys to give me that chunk yardage. So with Devontae, you double him. There's no reason why you don't double him. You make sure. I always say this, and people look at me like I'm crazy, but I jokingly say it, but I mean this. If Devontae Adams goes to the bathroom, you need to be standing outside the stall.
Yep.
If Devontae Adams sneezes, you should be handing him a tissue. But there's no reason that you should stick to him like glue. You should be glued to his hip, and you should already know at the end of the day, I need to make sure that this guy does not get open in these types of situations because I know that's where Aaron is going. Because our pass rush, unfortunately, could not get home. They didn't get home the way that I thought they would.
Yeah, and I think that, that was by design. I want to bring this up, though. David Yang, guys losing is losing regardless if you're a veteran or a rook. Jimmy put us in position to win. That ain't on Jimmy. Jimmy also turned the ball over multiple times, which is on Jimmy.
So, Jimmy had the interception. Jimmy had that fumble. So how is this not on Jimmy, David? I need you to go ahead and hit me in the comments and please explain that because I'm going to tell you right now, those two were on Jimmy. That overthrow right there by where Kittle was, you need to be able to see that there's a DB streaking over to George Kittle because he came off his man because he knew whatever his man was doing wasn't the guy to be thrown to. And then that fumble, what do you do there? You take a sack. You can take a sack any other day, any other game, but you don't take a sack right there. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. It's I don't know. He goes on to say, how could y'all be okay with losing because Trey's a rook? Did y'all not see how Fields played today and the consensus wanted Fields? That's a different situation. And you can't compare what Matt Nagy's doing in Chicago with what Kyle can do here. And we saw that with, Justin Fields definitely struggled, took a lot of sacks or whatever. But the point is, it's not that we're okay with losing. It's that if Jimmy's going to make these silly mistakes,
why not let it be Trey?
Why not let Trey do it to work those things out? Because this is the play for the long term. This is not for the short term.
Yeah. We know at the end of the day that Trey is the future and Jimmy is the past. And he's currently the present, unfortunately, for us. So my thing is I'm never okay with losing. If anybody has ever seen me and seen what I do on my channel, I'll tell you right now, I am probably known as the biggest Jalen Hurd hater of all time. And the reason that everybody thinks that of me is because I've been saying to cut him since he couldn't play for 2 years. There's no reason for him to be sitting on IR doing absolutely nothing for us.
Yep.
Absolutely nothing. He's never done anything. That preseason crap with the Cowboys 2 years ago, that doesn't count, people.
Right.
So if Jimmy is doing this, I'd rather have a rookie do it. At least I know that I can chalk it up to him being a rookie and him progressing and going and learning those things over time. I can't do that with Jimmy. With Jimmy, I can look at him and go, why are you making these mistakes? And Jimmy, technically speaking, is probably just a two-year bet because all of those other years, he's either been injured or been sitting on the sidelines because he wasn't playing. So technically speaking, he's only put in probably about 2 years worth of play in general. So he may even still be learning at this point, but that's still not a pass for him because you sat behind Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the field sat behind Brett Favre. Look how he seems to be doing. At least he's in the NFC Championship every year.
Right. Yeah, and, again, and Joey Arredondo says that Jimmy getting bailed out by Debo on third down and Kittle breaking off a long run isn't him putting us in position. And that's the thing. This was a lot of other guys putting in work. Kittle breaking off that huge yak yardage. Even Juszczyk, getting those last 6, 7, 8 yards to get into the end zone. I mean, it was a simple Texas route for the running back where he was open because the linebacker thought that he would chip Kittle because he thought Kittle was a primary, and that left the underneath open. That's not a hard throw. I mean, a college quarterback can make that throw.
That's simple. Yeah, you see the guy open and throw the ball to him.
Exactly. What we're talking about is the situations where Jimmy doesn't put us into position to win. He threw multiple hospital balls tonight that could have got his receivers real jacked up. He threw one super high to Debo. He threw one, super low to another guy. Again, Sanu, just it's the ball placement is not where it needs to be. And if we're talking about we want this team to be a Super Bowl team, I got news for you guys. It's not a Super Bowl team if Jimmy Garoppolo can't sustain drives, and I'll tell you why. Because Green Bay put the blueprint out there to beat this defense.
Yep.
Get quick passes out to the edge and take advantage of those weak cornerbacks while simultaneously nullifying the pass rush. And if the offense can't sustain drives for the 49ers, guess what? You tire out their defense, and you can just wear them out all game long.
Continuously.
Which leads to the situation at the end. And I'm not going to give Fred Warner a pass. He absolutely had dog shit coverage on that first pass. He needed to sink into his zone, and he played far. I mean, it's like keep everything in front of you. Nothing should have been behind you, and he let that pass go behind him. So that's on Fred Warner. I know people are saying D'Amico Ryans. It's like D'Amico Ryans is calling the right defenses. It's up to the players to execute.
You can't blame D'Amico when he's not on the field. I'm sorry.
Right.
You truthfully can, especially if the defense is called properly. D'Amico called a damn good game. At the end of the day, if anything, you could look. If you want to look and you really want to put blame on someone, put it on Kyle.
Right.
He allowed Jimmy to sit out there that whole first half and be hot garbage. And then next thing you know, what do we have? We're sitting here going, I don't know. I'm not sure if, we should put Trey in or not. But you get to the goal line and you get to the red zone and magically you want to put number 5 in. Why? Because you know the dynamic that he brings to the game. So you turn it to an 11-on-11 instead of 11-on-10, and now Trey Lance is, it was good to put him in at that point because we know he can run. Okay?
Yeah. Exactly. And, I mean, again, Jimmy had multiple passes that could have gone to defenders. Like there was one that it was a garbage throw that should have been picked off. There was one to Ayuk in the end zone where, it was between two defenders behind Ayuk that could have been picked off. There were multiple interceptable balls that Jimmy Garoppolo threw. And so, I'm not going to sit there and blame Kyle for the play calls. I'll blame Kyle for leaving Jimmy out there. Like you said, play 11-on-11, because that play that I was talking about near the goal line where Trey rolled out to the right and actually sucked defenders down towards the line of scrimmage because they had to respect his ability to run the ball, which gave, Kittle was absolutely manhandled on that play and was down in the end zone, but it gave Ayuk the opportunity to get to the back of the end zone and potentially, make a play. And we've seen it with Russell Wilson. We've seen it with Kyler Murray. These mobile quarterbacks give you these opportunities. Jimmy Garoppolo does not. Although I will say there was one pass that drew the PI to Ayuk that was like pretty on target, and he was like running forward. And I'm like, why is Jimmy more accurate when he's running than he is stationary? It's just he makes no sense to me. The way that he delivers the football makes no sense. He has big time accuracy problems. And if it were anybody but this team, if Jimmy were anywhere else, we'd all be roasting him for his lack of accuracy. But because he's on the team and he was the incumbent and he was the guy that was the quarterback for the Super Bowl team, it's the same old story with every 49ers player. It was with Kendrick Bourne. It's with Jalen Hurd. It's with this guy and that guy. They put on a 49ers uniform, and all of a sudden you can't get rid of them because they're so good. I hate to break it to people, but Jimmy Garoppolo is not that good. So if he's not going to lead us to the Super Bowl, what are we doing then?
Yeah, the number one thing I can say about Kendrick Bourne is at least he was available.
Exactly.
He was never hurt. You never saw Kendrick Bourne on the injury report. He was probably one of the most healthiest receivers we had in years past. But the issue is, at the end of the day, Kyle has to start looking into making Trey, a situation where he's more incorporated into the offense. And literally, you don't like the 2 QB system, you're going to have to start running it. At a bare minimum, what Kyle could do for Trey is the same thing he did for Jimmy when he first got here in 2017. Draw up some simple plays for him. It's easy.
Right.
Put together a package and say, Trey, learn these plays.
Yep.
I'm going to give you a chance with the first team offense. You're going to run just these. That's it. I'm not worried about anything else. I want you to learn this right here. And when the time comes, I'm going to call your number. You're going to run this set of plays, and we're going to get you some experience. We're going to start ushering you in because obviously the guy in front of you doesn't really care that he has $27 million in his pocket. He's really trying to figure out, should I throw it? Should I not? He pats the ball so much that it gives defenses the option to know when he's throwing. And that puts us in a bad spot.
Yep.
There was only one pass where I thought that, it wasn't on Jimmy, it was on Ayuk, and that was that touchdown. Like Ayuk should have caught that. That hit him dead in his hands. The ball was placed properly for once. There was no problem. You're standing there and you're looking at Ayuk going, okay, should Trent Sherfield have been in on that? Because I feel like he might have caught that touchdown pass.
Yeah, the only saving grace I'll give that is that if you watch the replay, the DB did slightly deflect that ball, so it did move a little bit, and that could have been a factor, but that he still should have caught it. So I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit. David Yang says Brunskill played like crap today, and Jimmy was getting hit every time he threw the ball. And to me, that's just an illustration of what we're talking about. Why not just put in a package for Trey Lance that's easy and simple to run? Like, I don't know, play action bootlegs where he only has to read half the field, and he's sucking the defenders towards him. And guess what? He doesn't have to rely on Brunskill to hold up in pass protection for that long. He can use his athleticism to escape the rush, which Jimmy can't do right now. I mean, Jimmy's like pinballing in the pocket all game long, trying to do something. And it's just, Jimmy got bailed out at the end of the first half. I mean, I know that Trey Lance was able to get that score, but that was an intentional grounding. He just threw it at the ground. I mean, and I guess if you really wanted to be technical, I was under duress. I was trying to throw it to Kittle. But intent doesn't equal action. So, it should have been called,
Yeah. The number one thing is that you see what the offense can do, and you know what the offense brings. And you know that at the end of the day, if you really want to go down the field, if you really want to go outside the numbers, the guy's jersey that I'm wearing is the person that you call on. Jimmy Garoppolo does not take shots down the field. If you notice, after that shot to Kittle and that interception, he never went down the field for the rest of the game. He didn't do anything else. He did what Jimmy Garoppolo does. He threw behind the line of scrimmage, or he dinked and dunked over the middle. That was literally where he threw. Everybody knows if you want to stop Jimmy, just go ahead and run a 4-3 and make sure your linebackers are sound in their pass coverage and just stay in the middle, because he's not going to throw anywhere else. If he does throw to anyone, and it's in the flat, it's easy to catch them unless they have blockers set up, which is an extremely rare occurrence. And I'm looking at it. K'Wan Williams, he goes down with a calf injury. Josh Norman, he goes down with a chest injury. And then we have to put in the worthless Dante Johnson to play football, and you already know how hot garbage he is. And then the next thing you know, we're trying to run Diamador Lenore in the slot with Dante Johnson on the outside. When you could try to flip-flop that, I'd trust Diamador Lenore a little bit better than I'll trust Dante Johnson. And you're putting the defense in just bad situations, man. And it just we can't keep doing this. And Kyle has to at some point give up on his ego and start saying, you know what? I'm tired of losing games. Because you got to think about it. Kyle's had only one winning season since he's been here, from a technical standpoint. If you have another losing season, that's 3 losing seasons and 1 winning season. And you just got a contract extension? Oh, man, we got to start asking questions if that's the case. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and, it's – again, Davey Yang's going to give us all the pushback. You're saying you don't think teams can game plan for Trey if he's only reading one side of the field. You can disguise stuff, but what I'm saying is – and you can have stuff where he's running like slants and things like that. I'm just saying if your pass pro isn't working and you need, like, for example, against the Rams, and you know that Aaron Donald is going to be blowing Brunskill and Mack up all game long, then you start rolling away from Aaron Donald. You roll away from the problem. You game plan for the problem. That's something that Trey can give you that Jimmy does not. These are all hypothetical situations. Of course, we're not only going to run one side of the field. This is like you're being far too literal about this. And the fact of the matter is there's nothing that Jimmy Garoppolo does that Trey Lance can't do at this point. I mean, how many times do we have to watch Jimmy run around like a chicken with his head cut off doing stupid shit before we go, we might as well let the rookie do the stupid shit because he's the one that's going to be, the one that we want to improve, the one that we want to develop, and he's not going to do that on the sideline, only getting scout team reps in practice. That's just not the way that it is. He's played 7 snaps in 3 games. That's not enough. That's not enough. By the way, he has 2 touchdowns in those 7 snaps.
They showed the graphic. At that point, when they showed that graphic, he had totaled Jimmy Garoppolo's TD touchdowns for the season. So you mean to tell me he had 5 snaps and he had 2 touchdowns, and Jimmy, you've had I don't know how many snaps, and all you had was 2? That
right.
At some point, like I get where you're going, David, but at the end of the day, you do not waste all that draft capital to go up and draft a guy that you want to sit, who you feel is better than what you currently have. Kyle Shanahan sat in the press conference for the state of the franchise and for other press conferences even before that and basically said, I want this type of guy. He basically screamed, I want a Josh Allen type of quarterback. I want a dude who can be big, who has a big arm, but at the same time, can give me some rushing yards if I need it. You know how many times that pocket collapsed and Jimmy Garoppolo just stood there letting the pocket continue to collapse?
Right.
You've got to move. You cannot stay stationary. At the end of the day, even if you get 2 or 3 yards on the play and you slide down, that's fine. We have Seattle coming up next. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we play just like we did, Russell will cook us alive. Russ will be cooking because DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are fast as you know what. They are quick. Any man that can hold 22 miles an hour and chase down a receiver running, 21 or 19 miles an hour and hold that for almost 100 yards, I don't want to go up against him if I'm the defensive back because I know if he tries to take me up top, I'm going to have to pray that Jimmy Ward or Jaquaski Tarter's there to help myself.
Exactly. Jamar says all we had to do is kill maybe 15 more seconds before we score. That simple. Listen, I don't trust Jimmy enough. We needed to score when we scored. And fact of the matter is Fred Warner played bad coverage. The defense played bad coverage on back-to-back plays and allowed them to get up the field on 2 plays. Well, really 3 because there was an incomplete pass. But, I mean, you're talking about 30 seconds, and you let them get how many yards in 30 seconds to be able to kick that field goal?
2 chunk plays. 2 big chunk plays. And the thing is what kills me is stop running a prevent defense when you have to lead. You know what's dead in the league? Jamming people off the line. And I'm not talking about a little tap. I'm talking about really jamming someone and getting up in their face. Like literally telling them, I'm here. And I'm not giving your quarterback that extra 0.5 seconds or 1 full second of time to make the throw to you. I'm going to make your life a living hell within this 5-yard radius. And you are not about to get open on me. It's not about to be a walk in the park. But then at the same time, you look at the flip side of it. What do the refs do? Every 5 seconds, they throw a flag. We are the only team in the league where when we at home, we get more flags thrown on us than the opposing team does. And I still will never understand.
The flags were weird tonight. Like the PI on Warner was definitely a PI. The PI on Mosley, or was it Mosley or Lenore? I think it was Lenore. It was Lenore. That definitely wasn't. Lazard actually grabbed his wrist. That was a PI. But then again, on the flip side, that hit on Ward wasn't called, which, by the way, whoever's running the NFL spotting for concussions needs to get fired because Devontae Adams was out cold. I saw his arm limp and he was face down. I don't understand how he gets back into the game. Be that as it may, David Yang hitting us with these gems right here. Trey can't hit the routes in between the hashes. He's done it in practice and in games. That's why you can't start Trey yet. We know passes high in the middle of the field is big. Hey, where was Jimmy Garoppolo's pick today? Oh, it was high in the middle of the field. Okay, my bad. Just checking.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, because if Jimmy's going to do that, then who gives a shit? What if Trey's going to throw those picks too? Like if they're, again, all things being equal, if both players are going to make mistakes, go with the guy who has the higher upside that you invested more capital in. That is the future that needs to develop. Otherwise,
we only gave up a 2nd-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. We gave up 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. So, I mean, I would rather make mistakes with the young rookie than I would with the guy who has too much time in the league It's mind-boggling. I don't care what anybody says. You sat behind probably the greatest quarterback of all time.
Right.
There's nobody that has as many rings as Tom Brady. And Brady.
Hung Fat got a question right here that I think is good. How many more games does Jimmy start? I'll tell you right now, it's very possible they go into that bye week 2 and 3.
Yeah. Because we have to play Seattle.
Yep.
Then they're coming here, and I'll be at that Arizona game.
Yeah.
I'll be there physically. And that's going to be the worst of it is I don't want to be there in person and have these Cardinal fans giving me a bunch of hell because Kyler Murray is running all over the field, completing passes to DeAndre Hopkins. And I'm going to tell you right now, they better shore up that offensive line because other than that, Chandler Jones is going to live in our backfield.
Yep. It's not going to be great. Davey Yang, upside doesn't win games. Neither does Jimmy Garoppolo, apparently.
True. Because he just lost one. He just lost one.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You make a ton of mistakes. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
Robert Saleh was huge out. Man, listen, at least we're averaging more than 6.6 points per game, which is what the Jets are averaging right now. They're just horrendous.
Hey, look, man, the Jets have the worst offensive line in the NFL. At the end of the day, the Jets need to go into the draft next year. You know what they need to do with their first 5 picks? Draft the whole offensive line.
Whole new offensive line.
I'm going to tell you right now, Zach Wilson is going to sit there and continue to suffer because there's going to be nobody that's going to be able to protect him unless Mekhi Becton magically just drinks some kind of healing juice and comes back. That's the only reason he's going to have any time. This is a 49ers podcast, so we'll stick to the Niners, but you have to have an offensive line. There is not a quarterback in this league that will last, and I don't care how great they are without a line. If your line isn't there, you're going to look like hot garbage. Our line, our problem is on the right side with McGlinchey, with Brunskill. That's basically it. So we already know that those are the two dudes that give us a little bit of an issue. Although, anytime we have to play the Rams, I'm not necessarily worried about Brunskill because for some ungodly reason, he seems to know what to do against Aaron Donald. Seems to work.
Yeah, he works Aaron Donald real bad.
He does. I don't know how. I really don't know how. Especially when you got Aaron Donald, sitting in the interview talking about, so how did you feel about Deebo Samuel? He goes, who? And it's like, come on, bro. The guy that ran over your whole defense to make sure that we steal the game, you don't know who he is. I bet. I really bet. Come on now. We're petty at this point.
Funny y'all would say Jimmy lost this game when he literally drove the team downfield and got the lead. No, George Kittle drove the team down the field on that 50-yard catch and run.
Yeah, because he was the one who got the yak. Because if he gets tackled on that play, like the whole point is, like, I get it, Dave. I feel like you're a supporter of Jimmy. We as 49er fans are a supporter of Jimmy as well. But the issue is we're not a supporter of him consistently screwing the game up. Did you see Jimmy in the first half? Because he didn't look very good.
Right.
He didn't look good at all. So, I mean, I feel like you forgot the first half, Dave, and in the second half, you just seemed to fall in love with it all over again because he started to move the ball. But it doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, Trey still had a touchdown. If Trey doesn't score that touchdown, did Jimmy win this game? No. Are we in this game? No. So, please explain to me where you go with that part, because if Trey doesn't score that touchdown, we know Jimmy ain't running that in. That's not a design play for Jimmy Garoppolo. You know that off the bat.
Right.
We just want it to be a situation where if we're making mistakes, make it with the young rook rather than making it with the person who's supposed to know what to do. That's pretty much it.
Exactly. And let's not forget about Deebo Samuel's catch. I mean, after that Kittle catch, it was Jimmy Garoppolo crap throw. Jimmy Garoppolo crap throw. Jimmy Garoppolo throws to Deebo, who has a dude in his neck, and he catches that. Davey Yank said, did Devontae give Rodgers that win, or was Rodgers? Rodgers threw the ball 20 yards past the line of scrimmage, dude. Jimmy threw the ball like 5 yards to Kittle, and then Kittle took it 50. Like, that's two totally different things.
He said, did Devontae give Rodgers that win? Okay, you know what that's called? That's called two people being in unison. That's called that's called a Rodgers to Devontae mashup. They both gave each other the win. You don't have anyone that gives Jimmy that because Jimmy
Right.
doesn't connect with anyone on that type of level that Rodgers and Adams have. You've never seen him connect with a specific receiver on a continual basis where they actually have that type of chemistry. And
Right.
if you have, by all means, please put it in the comments and tell me who that is. And do not say George Kittle, because at the end of the day, George Kittle is one of the nicest people in the world. He's one of the greatest teammates. He can text Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy won't even text him back. So that's not even a good friend, let alone a good team.
Well, and here's the thing, Jimmy. I'm assuming this guy meant to say Jimmy didn't lose the game himself. The defense was not very good. PI calls galore and too soft with 37 seconds left with the lead, and no Green Bay timeouts or whatever. Listen, the other factor that you got to look at is the 49ers had 67 yards rushing, and you're like, man, the O-line must have been bad, or man, the running backs must have not been good. But Green Bay's defense can key the run because they know Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to beat him over the top. Mm-hmm. They're daring Jimmy Garoppolo to beat them, and it's he can't do it. He can't do it. That throw to Kittle
goes back to preseason,
bro.
This goes back to preseason. Why were the Chargers players laughing at him? Right. Literally caught laughing at him. And I know this for a fact because I have a very good friend of mine that I've grown up with since I was a little kid. He's a diehard Chargers fan. And he sent me the screenshots of his people laughing at Jimmy Garoppolo. No one in the league fears him. No one is afraid of him going downfield. No one is afraid of him throwing outside of the numbers. So if you have a quarterback that who can only go over the middle and does not go downfield, then you know that it's too easy to stop him. So you're not worried about giving up something over the middle. You know why? Because if you stop people on most of the time, on throws like that most of the time, it's not hard to win the game. It's actually pretty easy, especially when you have a field general like Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball on the other side of it. I mean, I stated this in my own video. It's very simple. Slow Devontae Adams down. Don't let Valdez-Scantling beat you over the top. Stop Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones had 19 carries for 83 yards and 1 TD. So not for 82 yards and 1 TD. So he averaged 4 yards a carry. He got us. Devontae Adams, 12 catches, 132 yards, and a TD. He got us. Right. Valdez-Scantling averaged 19.7 yards on 3 catches. So you got to think about that. All those things that we needed to do, unfortunately, we didn't on defense. But at the end of the day, the first half, we went into the game 17. We went into that 17-7. We did, you got to start. You got to start looking at the game as a whole and understanding why we're not able to win these games and make these things happen. If the offense is stagnant, it's definitely not on the defense. They're not the ones on the field.
Right. So I'll correct myself. All right. It wasn't a 5-yard pass. It was an 11-yard pass, and Kittle ran the extra 28. So it's still mostly yak yardage. Whereas Adams
17 extra yards
was touchdown immediately. Like, I don't know. And even listen, and I know that people are like, if we would have won the game, like, would you have been saying? Yes, I would be saying this.
Still,
this game should not have been this close.
Yeah, when we won that Eagles game, still told everybody Jimmy had a horrible performance. Why? Because he did. He looked bad, and that's the thing. Like, you got to look at the game as a whole and what he does. Period. Yep. And I like to think a lot of people get tunnel vision on the fact that there's a W. That W didn't come with the way that we wanted it to. At least if Jimmy was more solid in his games, I could feel more comfortable. But with him just continuing to foul up certain things and, the offense just being stagnant with him at the helm, it definitely sucks.
Yep. And Davey Yang, just to explain to me how Jimmy gets all these wins being as bad as y'all make him sound. First of all, QB wins is not a stat because the team around him is good. And your only point of comparison for Jimmy Garoppolo getting these wins with this team is CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins. So in comparison to cafeteria food, Jack in the Box is going to look like gourmet meal, but it's still just clown shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, it's not good. Jimmy's better, significantly better than CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins. But what is that actually saying? It's not saying anything. Imagine if, like, dang, man, I watched Kirk Cousins today. I think Kirk Cousins would be better in this offense than Jimmy Garoppolo is. At least Kirk Cousins will throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, and my thing is the number one thing that I didn't like was the fact that in our first year, we had the option to draft a quarterback. We went in with Brian Hoyer, CJ Beathard. And those were the guys.
I don't know if I'm with you on this one because I've explained this too. Just from my perspective, Kyle was in the Super Bowl with Atlanta, so he didn't even get hired by the 49ers officially until like the week before the combine. I don't think it's enough time to do due diligence on a franchise quarterback. So I think you know what I mean? And you know, everybody goes, that's the Patrick Mahomes draft or whatever. And it's like, nobody thought Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes.
Nobody. Yeah, no, because
I don't even think Patrick Mahomes is the same. Like this year, Patrick Mahomes has made some big time mistakes that look real funky. He's got a couple of ugly ass interceptions where I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
You know what I said about Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of people started to understand this. It's very simple. Patrick Mahomes throws a lot of dead ducks, and he just puts it in the vicinity of Tyreek Hill. And because of Tyreek Hill's speed and body control, he makes those plays.
Yeah.
There are so many passes. If you look at what Tyreek Hill catches, those passes to a normal receiver would not be caught. They would either be intercepted or they'd just be drop balls because you just can't do it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we got a contribution.
Fox 198 with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Is it time to start holding Shanahan accountable? Jimmy played well, in quotations. What a load of crap. I'm sick of this BS. Did Kyle say in the press conference that Jimmy played well? That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me.
He's gonna, here's the hard thing. You're gonna back him in public because you have to.
Yeah,
you really have to. You don't.
He's gonna get his ass chewed tomorrow, though.
But at the end of the day, he's got to be ripping him a new one on a continual basis, looking at him and going, "Bro, I got to keep putting you on the field. I really have to because I don't think the young rook's ready. But you are making it hard for me not to do this. Like behind closed doors, I'm pretty sure he's ripping him a new one. But then out there in the public, yes, you have to back your quarterback. You can't just come out and say Jimmy was hot garbage. Like that doesn't work like that. We as fans can say that, but you as the head coach, like that automatically puts dissension within the ranks. You wind up losing the locker room because you out a player like that in public. You just cannot do that. So
I think you're spot on with the losing the locker room aspect. And I think that's why Kyle has been dragging his feet on Trey Lance. He's kind of in a rock and a hard place, right? Like he can't just put Trey Lance in there, even if he wants to, because people like George Kittle, people like Trent Williams, people, of that ilk, they have sway on this team, whether you want that to be or not as a head coach. That's just the way that it is. And we know how George Kittle feels about Jimmy Garoppolo. And we know that Trent Williams has come out and defended Jimmy Garoppolo. But the little things that Trey does, like when he ran that touchdown in tonight and then gave the ball to Trent Williams to spike, right? Those little things are going to start, right? And then the more Jimmy Garoppolo does the backwards pass thing or the chicken with the head cut off thing, you start slowly putting that doubt in the minds of those vets that were so staunchly Jimmy that it makes the decision easier for Kyle. And I think it's kind of a coward's way out to do it that way. I think he should just make the switch whenever he feels like it. But I really do think that this is Kyle even playing 4D chess with his players, the way he does on the field where he's out coaching himself with his players right now. And I just don't think that it's the smart thing to do. At this point, we know what Jimmy Garoppolo is. And we know that, Jimmy Garoppolo's got 4 turnovers in 3 games. What are we doing? That's right up there with some of the rookies. Like Mac Jones has less turnovers, I believe, than Jimmy Garoppolo does this season.
Yeah. And you got to look at it like this. When you're thinking about losing a locker room and you're trying to make a change like that, if you decide I'm going with Trey, you need to be as man about it, as open about it as you possibly can. You should automatically say, hey, bringing everybody here, I'm letting you know, I've already informed Jimmy and Trey, I'm starting Trey. I need you guys to be on board with this. I understand that sometimes this may not make you guys feel comfortable, but at the end of the day, this is about the 49ers winning football games and us trying to get to a Super Bowl. This is not about, you not liking Trey and you not liking Jimmy. It's simply about the team. And if you guys are such a team as we think that we are, then there should be no reason that there should be any opposition to this. George, he shouldn't want to not catch passes from Trey Lance. Deebo Samuel shouldn't want to, not catch passes from Trey Lance, Ayuk, any of those guys. And at the end of the day, to be honest with you, if I'm sitting there and we keep getting beat like that and we're getting down, you know who I'm going to put on the field? Trey Lance and Trent Sherfield. You know why? They got a beautiful connection. And they seem to always connect on really large chunk plays. So you got to try to work it out somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, again, and we've been hammering on Jimmy the whole time. We've been hammering a little bit on Kyle, but I think everybody played a part in the game tonight. I mean, the defense was not good. Our DB room dropped like flies, which is just like, I mean, that's something they should have addressed. It was a bit rough.
I'm gonna say this. Oh, we got okay. So
$4.99 super chat. Thanks, Hung Fat. Any positives from tonight?
Okay, I'll tell you this. The positive is that we actually scored and kept up and made this a close game. I'm gonna put that out there. That's a beautiful thing. We made this a close game. It was 30-28. We could have gotten blown out, but we actually turned around and made some things happen. Positive. Trey Lance was on the field and he scored a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? So for me, positive for fantasy owners. George Kittle actually had 7 catches for 92 yards. So if you're looking for some positives, there we go.
I'll say this too. I think that the 49ers adjusted their play style really well in terms of Kyle and his play calling, and with how he adjusted after the first half. He didn't get anything going the way that it was. He went to a completely different kind of play calling. They used more bunch formation. They did stuff like that. He went kind of back to that conservative play calling on the next drive, and then when that didn't work, he threw that out the window and went back to what was working. So at the very least, the coaching made an adjustment, and it was nice to see Brandon Ayuk being used tonight. That also was really good. It's clear he's got skills.
Yeah, even though it was only 1 catch for 8 yards, one run for 8 yards for Brandon Ayuk, 4 catches for 37 yards in the TD. Juice had the other touchdown. It just, there are positives, but it's hard to look for positives in a loss that shouldn't have happened, especially when you have things that, are going wrong that we all, as 49er fans, understand shouldn't be going down. Like we really try our best, to look for, the positive in the negative, but it's a little hard to do so when you're a little frustrated with that. And when it comes to the DB thing, I'm going to say one name and one name only. And I did this years ago with another guy, but this guy currently, Asante Samuel Jr. We had the option to draft him. He was right there. We could have picked him up, and we picked up a offensive lineman who's sitting on the sidelines, injured, doing nothing for us. And Asante Samuel Jr. is doing nothing but balling out for the damn Chargers. It's
he had a sick pick today. It was nice. I will say this, another positive. Nick Bosa's all over the damn field, man. That dude has caused so many problems. Like every time I look, he's batting passes. He's forcing Rodgers to roll out. He's, tripping up running backs for tackles for losses. He's getting the shit held out of him every single play that he's out there. But, man, that dude is everywhere. He is absolutely fantastic.
Bosa is a flat-out monster. The whole game I'm watching, I'm looking like, yo, man, I feel bad for people when they have to try to stop him. Even when they're doubling him, it's definitely frustrating because, like, they zeroed in on him, and it literally saw him looking at the ball and not listening to Rodgers. It was like, okay, I'm not about to get caught with an offsides call on myself. I'm not going to get caught with encroachment or none of that. I'm looking at that ball. When that ball moves, I move. And you can tell when Bosa's really, really locked in, because he's got that hand in the air like he's about to take off from a 40-yard dash, and he's going straight at the quarterback. Bosa balled out. He looked fantastic. Contavious Street, sleeper. He's looked really good this season.
Yep.
He's actually looked very good. I'm not big on, players who spend a lot of time on IR, but that young man has come along, and he has played absolutely fantastic. And I honestly see him being a key call for us late down the stretch. So I can't be too mad about that. But that's definitely a positive. Xavier Street's looking very, very good. I think he was the one who had the sack outside, or was it Post?
The sack was Armstead.
Was it? Oh yeah, it was. It was Armstead.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Unfortunately, we
got
only had the
hurt.
one sack because of how they were scheming the game when they were getting things out quick. But how about this? What do you think about Kyle Shanahan and his inability to go for it on 4th and 1?
I don't know why he didn't. I'm really not sure why you don't go for it on 4th and 1.
Especially at midfield.
Look what you did at that situation with Juice.
Yep.
Why would you just not do that again?
And here's the other thing. Jimmy Garoppolo, the one good thing that he picked up from Tom Brady is being able to run a quarterback sneak.
Yeah, it's easy. It's only a yard. It's not that hard.
Right. It's weird. Hey. It's weird. I think that, again, this is Kyle getting into his own head a little bit too much, where he's playing like he's afraid of giving Rodgers too beneficial of a field position of a start on a drive. And it's just like, yeah, but either way, Rodgers has been having his way with you. Like, you need to score points.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily agree with it, but it is what it is. I know that we got a guy in our group chat. Sorry. A guy in our group chat that was talking about, Kyle needs to run fake punts. I don't agree with fake punts. I think fake punts are dumb. No. Just run your offense.
Yeah, fake punts could get you in a whole lot of trouble. You don't believe me? Go ahead and take a look at what happened with the punter for the Browns a couple weeks ago, and you'll see exactly what a fake punt or what a bot punt can do for you. You don't run fake punts unless you have the right personnel and unless you can really do it. And that's a special teams thing. It's very hard to pull that off. I know earlier they kind of talked about what happened with Justin Fields. The issue with what happened with Justin Fields is he was going up against the Browns defense, which is extremely formidable. That's like the worst start in the world for a rookie. I'm going to put you out there against Myles Garrett and all of those other dudes on that line, and I'm going to tell you, go win me a game. Especially not for a guy who, unfortunately, from what we've seen, is a run first, pass second type of guy. You can't.
And that's the thing. Lance is going to be different. And here's the other thing, too. The Bears don't really have good playmakers. They don't have the playmakers the 49ers do. Outside of Amundsen, David Montgomery in the backfield, just a lot of average. Cole Kmet, he's fine, but he's not George Kittle. Who do they have opposite of Allen Robinson? Nobody great. So
basic receivers, man.
Yeah, they're limited, and that offensive line is significantly worse than what we have in San Francisco. So it's two totally different situations. So I don't think that Lance would come in and necessarily have the same struggles, especially if, like we see, Lance is typically the pass first, run second type of mobile quarterback, and so I think that there could be something there if they decided. I got a question for you though, and Leonardo Cruz asked it. How do you feel about Sherman? Do you think they pick up the phone and give him a call? Because he's leaning close to Tampa Bay, and I mean, if you can bring him back in, don't you think we probably should at this point?
Honestly, I'm 50-50 on Sherman, and the reason that I state that is because, I mean, with what we're running right now, I don't know if that's going to work. We kind of switched a little more towards a man type of defense, and he runs that zone. That's what he runs. He runs it well. But I don't know if Sherman's going to be able to fit that kind of mold because he's never been a man type of DB. He's always been a zone coverage, cover 3, cover 2 type of guy. So if he went to Tampa Bay, it probably would suit him perfectly and best. But with the injuries, I'm not going to lie, they probably would give him a call. And then Sherm, with all the support we showed him with everything that happened with him during this offseason, he probably, might feel some kind of way, in some way obliged to come to us if we did give him a call. But I doubt they do that. I think that John and Kyle are going to be, unfortunately, a little stubborn and say, we're comfortable with the DB room we have. We'll be fine with what we got.
Yeah, I kind of think the same. Guys, we're going to be wrapping it up here shortly, but Dion, before we go, what do you think the 49ers really need to work on heading into next week against Seattle, against the Seahawks? It's a tough divisional game. I know that typically Russell Wilson gives us fits, but where do you think the 49ers can come out of this and take away from this tough loss that'll help them going forward against Seattle?
To be honest with you, it's the pass rush needs to get home. That's where we're going to have to work on. Our pass rush has to get home. That's going to be our number one thing to work on. And if we get home, it'll be easier. Russell Wilson is very well into his career. He is not looking to run as much as he used to. He doesn't want to get hit. He doesn't want to take a chance on anything. And he's looking to pass that ball. That would be probably the number one thing. The number two thing, if you see Jimmy Garoppolo floundering, give him a break. I don't care if you put Trey Lance in there for 3 running plays straight. Just give him a break. Get Scangarello on the sideline to talk to him and help work him through whatever he's missing or not seeing. Like, just be smart about it. But I honestly, the number one thing, that pass rush has got to start getting home.
Yeah. I would say that the 49ers need to establish the run early, make teams fear the run, so that way it takes some pressure off of Jimmy Garoppolo, and you're going to have to do that opening the game against some stacked boxes. You're just going to have to scheme open runs. I know that Kyle's trying stuff with Deebo Samuel and, but you're going to have to do the runs traditionally and not necessarily these gadget plays, because Jimmy Garoppolo works best out of play action and when that play action is effective and can suck a linebacker up. The other thing, the defense definitely needs to work on getting turnovers. No takeaways again this week. Just unfortunate. I know we had a great goal line stand where we got turnover on downs, but the team has to get more turnovers going forward.
Yep, we definitely have to, man. But either way, even though we lost, it was only by 2 points. I'll take that over getting blown out any day. It's a lot better than getting blown out. Positive is just the fact that we scored that 28 points. Negative is honestly for me I know a lot of people may not like, but it was Jimmy's play. That was my negative. It unfortunately was, and it's not that I just want to pick on the guy or I hate him. It's just that was a glaring inefficiency with the offense.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, he got us in position to win the game, but also he with those boneheaded plays gave Green Bay a really good field position to get points. So it's 6-1, half dozen the other, but they're definitely going to have to, tune it up, because Seattle's going to be a tough game to play, and Seattle's going to be pissed off after getting kind of beaten up a little bit by the Vikings today. So it's definitely going to be, something that we need to look out for. Dion, I want to thank you for being with us. I think that's going to do it for us, guys. Sponsors, Acre Gold, the little stamp of gold that Zach likes to put out there. We got the 81 Vino, and we're presented tonight by MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag, promo code Hive. Zach, in post, will probably throw the little 1-minute intro in here. He can do that. But
yes, sir.
Hey, listen, I had a great time with you, and thank you for joining me. It wasn't what we wanted, but at the same time, we gotta, I don't know, we gotta get back on that horse and prepare for Seattle. Any parting thoughts?
The only parting thought I can say is hopefully when it comes to Seattle, we've got a better game plan. The defense starts to get home, and we are able to convert when it comes to getting in that red zone and making sure that everything continues to go smoothly. I honestly want to see a little more Trey Lance on the field. I know we saw him in the first game. I know we saw him in the third game, but I'd like to see a little more than what we are normally seeing. And the other thing is, if you notice, he seems to come in the red zone. Where does Jimmy struggle? The red zone.
Yep. So I think that's going to do it for us. And thank you again, Dion, for joining us. Where can they find you at?
You guys can find me on Twitter at SwiftD, SWIFTDEE. You can definitely take a look at that name, Niner Gang Podcast. That is my YouTube channel. And I'm on Instagram at 49er_Dion. But yeah, man, you can always find me here with my guys from the Hive, from the Red and Gold Standard. These dudes have welcomed me into their family with open arms, and believe me, I
Absolutely.
definitely embraced it. Definitely continue to keep watching this channel, subscribe, like, and definitely, we're always good with the healthy debates and whatnot. And at the end of the day, guys, remember one thing about all of us: we are pro Niners. We
Yep.
just want our team to win. Period.
Absolutely. I think that about says it all. It's another episode of the Red and Gold Standard podcast in the books. We thank you as always. You know where to find us on all our socials. So until next time, go Niners.